presenter, Timothy Malumo, Assistant Superintendent by rank. Today on the program, we are talking to a man that has been endorsed by the continent through the African Union. He is Africa's candidate for the executive job of Secretary General for Interpol, whose headquarters in Lyon, France, and the General Assembly is slated for November this year, 2024. Now, he joined the Zambia Police Service at a tender age of 17. He happens to be the only police officer on record who trained as a police officer twice, thereby belonging to two different intakes. That is intake of 1995 and 2002 respectively. He rose through the rank and file in the Zambia Police Service, and along his career path as a police officer, he diverted a little bit, went into foreign mission, where he headed the Regional Bureau for Interpol, which is domiciled in Harare, Zimbabwe. Today, he is Deputy Commissioner of Police. He is Director of Administration. Allow me now to welcome to the program Mr. Mubita Nawa.
Thank you very much, and it's good to be here.
Thank you so much, the Deputy Commissioner of Police. We are so glad to host you on our program.
Thank you.
To start our program, sir, we want to know you maybe in details. Who is Mubita Nawa? It's a common name, especially in Zambia, but for the sake of those who are viewing us from across the borders, who is Mubita Nawa?
Thank you very much. Yes, I know there has been a lot of confusion between Mubita Nawa, the police officer, and Mubita Nawa, the motivation speaker on social media. This is Mubita Nawa, born on 12th September 1977 in Imuiko in Mongu of Western Province, from the union of Mr. George Nawa Kalaluka and Miss Josephine Maimbolwa Mubita, and in a family of 6. That is 2 girls and 4 boys. I happen to be the third born. Family man, married to a fellow police officer, Miss Felida Mwale, with 5 lovely children, that is 2 boys and 3 girls.
We want to find out, like in my preambles, I indicated that you happen to be the only police officer that belongs to 2 intakes. That is of 1995 as well as 2002. Meaning you joined police on 2 occasions. How possible and how was it? If you may just run through that.
Yeah, it's kind of a very unique situation. But before I get to that, maybe I should mention that at my tender age, of course, I went to Imuiko Primary School and later proceeded to St. John's Secondary School. That was, we ended. We finished grade 12 in the year 1994, and January 1995 proceeded to join the Zambia Police Service. This particular recruitment was more of a special one, because at that time the Zambia Police Service wanted to recruit people in the brass band, and what they did was actually to go to the schools or to their nurseries where they have been training students. So I happened to be at St. John's Secondary School in Mongu. They also recruited from St. Edmunds in Mazabuka and St. Francis in the northern province in Kasama, Malole. Yeah, so we were recruited at that point, and I was very young. I was 17 years, and when we got to the training, I was actually almost sent away because I was underage. But upon noticing that I was to turn 18 years during the training, I was reluctantly accepted and I proceeded.
Some of the key notable persons that maybe you joined together as recruits then in 1995?
Oh yeah, a number of officers. I remember from St. John's, I think we came maybe about around 8 of us. And among them is the now aide-de-camp to the President, Deputy Commissioner Shapa was among those. We also have Valentine Mbangu Chinyama, Of course, now he's with Ministry of Energy. He's the Chief Procurement Officer there. Those were some of the officers that I joined with from our school, and all of us were in the St. John's Brass Band.
Run us through, now you were at Lilai Police College in 1995. Upon your passing out, what transpired?
Actually, whilst on training, my results to go to the university came through. That meant that I needed to proceed to the university immediately upon graduation, which at the time was not common, and there were a lot of challenges associated with that because it was probably happening for the first time. But at the end of the graduation, then I had to proceed to the university. But you know, the procedure, the administrative procedure is that for someone to proceed on study leave, they have to actually be confirmed as an officer. So at that time, I had just graduated, but I became the first officer to be confirmed in that particular intake of 1995 to enable me to proceed to the university. And luckily, I was also sponsored by the Zambia Police Service.
How did you find yourself back to Lilai Police Training College?
Remember, I had just graduated and proceeded to the university, meaning that for the years that I was at the university, I did not get sufficient exposure as a police officer. And it was my request to the Police High Command that probably I needed to join, because at the time, coincidentally, they were recruiting graduates from the university, and they were recruiting them as officer cadets. And I requested that I should join them in order to prepare me, because I was going to be upgraded to the rank of Assistant Superintendent. So I needed that expertise and experience, the knowledge of becoming a commander. You know, so I had to actually undergo that training, which prepared me for the next position that I got upon being upgraded to Assistant Superintendent of Police.
This is in 2002.
Yes.
Are you able to remember some of your intake mates this time in 2002 intake?
Oh yes, from those that came from the university, we had a number of them, notably Honorable Cornelius Mweto. We were actually together. Even upon graduation, we were actually deployed in Southern Province together. The other ones, the Central Province Commissioner, Ms. Charity Munganga, we were together. Retired Commissioner of Police, Lombe Kamkoshi, were in that same intake. We've got a few other colleagues. Lubinda Mshaupa, who is working at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We have got Chanda, who is working for Ministry of Finance. So there are a couple of them. Of course, a few others left the police. We still have a few within the police service.
Sir, we also want to find out just your career path into the Zambia Police Service. Now that you graduated, this time as a senior police officer, because upon graduation you became Assistant Superintendent. Maybe you can run through where you were posted, where you worked, and all those things.
Thank you very much. It's been a very exciting career path, I should say, and one which has been very, very unique because of a lot of things that happened in a manner that was not very usual. Yeah, so upon graduation at Lilai, I was actually already upgraded before graduation, because remember, I was an in-service officer cadet. Yeah, so we were sent to Livingstone, about I think 6 of us, and from there we worked in the different sections of the police as part of orientation before final deployment. And after that orientation, I was sent to Choma as Deputy Officer Commanding, which was actually short-lived, because then Police High Command requested that I come to Police Headquarters to join the Police Intelligence Office, PIO. Yeah, I worked there in the Operations Office up to the year 2004, when we had the opportunity to actually participate in the UN Selection Assistance Team exercise, which saw me getting deployed to Kosovo. In that group, I think we also had Madam Joyce Kasosa, Ambassador Joyce Kasosa, who later got deployed to Liberia. So in the year 2005, together with other 9 officers who were deployed to Kosovo, where I worked firstly as a patrol officer, where we were monitoring the security situation of the refugees and also those that were actually displaced, the internally displaced. The internally displaced people, checking the houses that were being built for them and so on, the returnees and so on. So we were actually there to provide security to the minorities in that particular place. After that, of course, I was determined to probably get some other leadership positions within the mission. And so I did quite a number of courses during that time. And later I was appointed as team leader to lead other international police officers at one station called Global. So these were police monitors that I was actually leading. And ultimately I landed the post of advisor to the Kosovo Police Station 4 commander. So I was actually providing some guidance. I was literally collocating with that senior officer, providing strategic and tactical guidance to that senior officer. So because of that performance and having rose through the different positions in the mission, immediately I came back to Zambia in 2006. I think I was just short-lived being in Zambia because again I was identified through the UN databases to actually be among the 33 UN global police experts who were selected to go and support the African Union mission in the Darfur region of Sudan. So that was actually called the UN Light Support Package to the African Union mission. So there, specifically, I was assigned to support the development of the Joint Mission Analysis Cell and the Joint Operations Cell. This is a very strategic component of any mission, where we actually had to also conduct some hotspot assessment, which assisted in the deployment of the UN police when the mission now was integrated into UN African Union mission in Darfur, UNAMID. So importantly there, I was working in this JMAC job and working with the military, police and the civilian component, providing strategic guidance to the mission authorities. That was not the only part of being exposed to international fora or international policing. Again, in the year 2000, I was privileged once again to actually go to Liberia. And this time around, I was the team leader for the Crime Intelligence Advisory Unit, where I was leading other international police officers in building the capacity of the Liberia Police, the Liberia National Police. So this was part of the security sector reform program being done by the UN in the different sectors of governance in Liberia. So not only did I work on that and became the advisor to the Liberia National Police Commissioner on intelligence, but I also worked on a project which was being implemented by UNODC and Interpol. This was called the West Africa Coast Initiative, which sought to actually build the capacity in about 5 countries. That was Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea-Bissau, and Cote d'Ivoire. So we worked in these countries on the drug routes, trying to enhance inter-agency cooperation, building the units that were going to actually look into these issues. this exposure and all these missions gave me a lot of insights and an understanding of the policing challenges in the various parts of the world, in different continents, being able to understand the policing challenges, the dynamics, and so on. So that really built me and gave me, certain unique expertise that I feel needs to be escalated so that it becomes beneficial, because this is an investment by the world, an investment by the UN, an investment by the Zambian government, most importantly, an investment by the Zambian Police Service. So when you have this kind of expertise, definitely it needs to be utilized at a higher level.
We go to you being the head of Regional Bureau for Interpol. How did this dream, how did this come about?
Wow, that was really, I think, a very exciting moment in my career path, because it was a very rewarding position in terms of career advancement, the knowledge and expertise and experience that I got. So in the year 2015, we did some interviews, very rigorous interviews, I should say. A lot of other people from within the Southern Africa region, the 16 SADC member countries, applied for this position. And I became the successful candidate. So going to the Interpol Regional Bureau for Southern Africa in Harare, I had to relocate from Zambia and to stay in Zimbabwe. It was really quite a challenging job. It was quite a challenging job because not only was I the head of the Interpol Regional Bureau, but I was also the coordinator for the Southern Africa Regional Police Chiefs Corporation, SAPCO coordinator, meaning that I had to interact with the police chiefs from the 16 SADC member countries all the time. I had to coordinate a lot of international activities, capacity building and training activities, projects, workshops, and most importantly, operations to prevent and combat transnational organized crime. So it was really a very good experience because it was a time of learning, almost learning on a daily basis. Each time you travel to a country, you get to get the insights of what is going on in that country. The policing challenges, how they do their policing, the dynamics, the differences with other countries, and so on. And also probably getting to know how transnational organized crime is affecting them. And you get to realize that in this fight of transnational organized crime, there will be then countries, for certain crimes, certain countries will actually be more like the source or the root where actually these crimes are emanating from. Then you have the second phase, which will be the transit countries, and later the recipient countries. So when you are talking about addressing transnational organized crime, your approach has to be very, very holistic, so that it does not address only one aspect of this. You need to address transnational organized crime from the root, transiting all the way up to where it ends. That way, you are going to actually address the root cause of transnational organized crime rather than just addressing the symptoms of that particular problem. So we did quite a lot. We built capacity in a lot of member countries. We had some projects to address cybercrime. We also had an approach where actually we trained a lot of officers that were to be trainers in their respective countries, who would then cascade the training to their respective countries. That's part of the approach that we had. Most importantly, we actually worked on the expansion of the Interpol Secure Communication System, commonly known as the I-247. Here we managed to actually extend the Interpol system from the national central bureaus or from the police to other entities. For instance, here in Zambia, we were able to actually extend the I-247 to the National Parks and Wildlife. We were also able to extend to Zambia Revenue Authority, to the Department of Immigration, the Drug Enforcement Commission, the National Anti-Terrorism Center. Yes, so we were able to actually expand that. And this meant that these entities were now able to actually access the Interpol databases and other policing capabilities, thereby enhancing their capability in fighting transnational organized crime. This was also done in other countries. We also had another project that we implemented which sought to enhance the capabilities of the National Central Bureaus. Because we believe that National Central Bureaus are the heartbeat in the fight against transnational organized crime. And therefore, a National Central Bureau in Washington should perform almost the same way with a National Central Bureau in Harare or in Lusaka, because their aim and objective is the same. And therefore, we do not want to have National Central Bureaus that are going to remain behind, such that if there is a request from another country for them to respond to transnational organized crime, they will not be able to do so. That is why there are standards that have been set globally that Interpol uses, so that all these National Central Bureaus operate, at least they need to meet the minimum operating standards so that they are able to respond to transnational organized crime in a similar manner. That is the aim, that was the aim of that project, where a lot of countries within the Southern Africa region actually benefited from.
With this vast experience that you got, you in African Union, United Nations, you've been to Kosovo, Liberia, Sudan, among other countries, in ensuring that there is peace globally. You have also spent much of your time as the head of the regional bureau in Harare. At which point do you think your inspiration for you to eye the position of Secretary General stands from?
Thank you very much. It's really a very pertinent question. You see, when I was heading the regional bureau, I had the privilege of also coordinating a lot of regional and inter-regional operations, including some of the global operations headed by the Interpol headquarters. And therefore, this gave me a lot of opportunity to traverse the world, to meet officers, operatives from the member countries, but most importantly also to meet chiefs of police and other government leaders who I privileged to actually, they managed to share with me some of their challenges in policy. And some of them were able to give very honest feedback on what is right with Interpol, what we can do better, and how we can become more responsive to the needs of the member countries. So this gave me, this insight, prompted me to, want to take this knowledge, this expertise and experience to a higher level so that it can help, it can play a role in the global security architecture. And I believe that going to the position of Interpol Secretary General, it's taking a lot of insights to the organization, which should help the organization to reflect the realities of the organization. It's not just about probably maps and borders. Our bid for this position is not about maps and borders, but it's about, bringing unique perspectives. The organization has been in existence for the past 100 years. And during this time, mainly it's been headed by our colleagues from the European region, who have actually done tremendous work. But you see, we realize that fighting transnational organized crime in the 21st century, it needs other perspectives. So because it is global crime, we need to bring different perspectives from different regions who are differently affected by transnational organized crime. And that is why we are saying time is now. And really we thank the SADC region, we thank the African Union, the leaders of government, the state and government, that this time around they felt that there is a need for us to speak with one voice. Speak with one voice, rally behind one candidate, so that we are able to bring on board this unique expertise. And most importantly, the realities from the member countries, so that we are able to address these challenges from an informed perspective. This is very, very critical. And this opportunity to lead this organization has continued to elude Africa for the past 100 years. And we are saying it is time that Africa comes on board, and we should be able to bring all this insight, this experience, this expertise. It's not just about, wanting to lead because we come from this particular region of the world. No, it's because we feel time is right for us to bring this expertise on board. Because our agenda is one. We have one common agenda, which is that of a safer world for all. And therefore, perspectives from Africa, perspectives from the Americas, Middle East and North Africa, perspectives from Europe, as well as Asia, they really matter so much. We need to have their strong voices at a strategic level of Interpol, so that all the transnational organized crime challenges are adequately addressed.
We saw the Republican President of Zambia, Mr doing it forward for you, and before we knew it, your name was endorsed as a candidate for the continent of Africa, for the African Union. How does that put you into a better position in speaking that position of Secretary General for Interpol? I know you've highlighted some of the perspectives that you want to bring about.
Yes, really to me it's a great honor, and I should take this opportunity to thank my country for the confidence shown in me, but most importantly also the Southern Africa region for also finding it fit that somebody that has been at a regional level in a different portfolio should now be sent over to provide leadership of the organization at a global level. Really, that is a great honor, and also to the African Union for speaking with one voice. Of course, I've received quite a lot of support, and the President of the Republic of Zambia is actually the chief campaigner for this position. And that is why you have seen a lot of things going very smoothly for us as Zambia, where at the SADC summit in Angola, all the presidents from the 16 SADC member countries unanimously supported or endorsed the candidature of Zambia. That was not enough. They had to cascade that to the African Union level. And again, there at the summit, we also had the African leaders speaking with one voice by endorsing Zambia, rallying behind Zambia. This took quite a lot of engagement at a very high level for us to be able to convince the continent that indeed it is time for the continent to provide leadership, and this leadership should come through the Zambian candidature.
You are not alone in this race. You are contesting against 3 more other candidates. You are the 4th candidate. What is it that you want to bring on the table once you scope this position as Secretary General for Interpol?
Definitely, this is a race where we are actually 4 of us. We have my colleague from the United Kingdom, another colleague from Brazil, and of course the other one from Pakistan. All these are in the race, and I should also state that when you have a common goal, you may bid to get the leadership position, But I think what is important is that criminals themselves, they are more united. And therefore, when we seek or when we bid for these positions, not really a competition per se. It is something that we're just trying to see probably who has the best experience, expertise, and exposure to be able to lead this organization forward. And I believe that I do have that kind of prerequisite. I believe that the African candidate, because these have been evaluated at different forums. In order for the continent to come up with supporting just one candidate, it's because the profile itself speaks for itself. And therefore, we believe we can bring very useful insights into the organization going forward, and probably making the organization more inclusive. Not only inclusive, but also bringing the realities from the member countries, so that we become more responsive to the needs of our member countries. Every one of them has got, of course, a different perspective and a different vision that we seek to provide as we lead Interpol. But I think at the end of the day, all these visions that we have provided, they are aiming at one thing: making the world a safer place by enhancing law enforcement, police, international police, cooperation and collaboration.
Yes, sir. We also want to just know, or you highlighting on how the process is done. How does the General Assembly for Interpol come with a Secretary General? Is it a 40, or do you have this number of people who are just special to do the process? How is the process done?
Very important indeed that members of the public get to know how the Interpol Secretary General is selected. It's a process where, of course, we have the Executive Committee. Executive Committee is more like a supervisory board, where the members are actually drawn from the various regions of the world. So we have the president, we have 3 vice presidents, and then the members. So these 13 are the ones that actually receive the applications. Upon receiving the applications, they will then evaluate to see the suitability of the applicants to become candidates. After that, what follows then is the interviews, a very rigorous process of interviews that they have to conduct later in the year. And it is from these 13 that they will actually select, after the interviews, they will actually select one candidate. So like now we have 4 of us. Upon interviews in June, they will select one candidate, and they will only present one candidate to the General Assembly who should be voted a yes or a no to become Interpol Secretary General.
Voted by who?
Voted by the General Assembly. The General Assembly is actually a forum where we have the 196 Interpol member countries. And during that assembly, each country has got one vote. So they do a secret vote. Of course, it is simple majority to determine who should become. So the candidate that is presented by the executive committee, it's not like the voting where you have 4 people and then you vote 1 out of the 4. It's actually only voting for one individual who will have been brought by the executive committee after the interviews that are done earlier on, before the General Assembly. So then they will vote with a simple majority and then be able to either ratify that candidate or maybe reject the candidate for the position of Interpol Secretary General. That's how the process is actually done.
Let's wind up the program. I want you to face the camera and make your appeal as we are winding up the program.
Thank you very much. And our appeal to the world is that in the Zambian candidate, the African candidate, you have the right candidate with a vision of an Interpol that is strong, resilient, and united against crime. And therefore, your vote is a vote for an Interpol that is strong, resilient, and united against crime for a safer world.
On that note, we have come to the end of our program, a special edition of Police Insight. I was talking or hosting Mr Mubita Nawa, who is Deputy Commissioner of Police. He is Director of Administration under the Zambia Police Service. He is Africa's candidate for Interpol Secretary General, which is slated for November 2024 as they conduct their General Assembly. Until the very next time, we meet on the same page. It's bye for now.